Welcome to another The Builders Extra. Today we are going to rewind back to episode 79, and that episode is about systems and processes and documentation and all that fun, exciting stuff that actually is critical to almost every business. I can't even say almost. Every single business needs systems and processes, or you're not going to grow and scale and reap all the benefits of that. But Cristina and I had a great conversation. That's her whole thing. That's what she does. She helps businesses with those things. And what I want to do today, though, is I wanted to kind of relate that a little bit to some recent stuff we've been doing in my agency, and not so recent. There's a couple things I wanted to just highlight. And basically at the core of this is that with systems and processes, there is a pitfall. We'll call it a pitfall today. And that is you can overcomplicate things. It's very easy to get too complicated. See, systems and processes need to be simple and refined. They can't be overly complicated, even with if you got a series of steps and then you got all this documentation and craziness over here that boils it all down and it gets confusing, or there's sub lists and this and that, that can be a problem. But it's also within the systems, within the tools you're using, those can get overcomplicated as well, the use of those, right? And this is a fault of mine. I want everything. I'm a little obsessive in the thinking part of this, but the implementation, the time to actually implement it, luckily, isn't available to me. And I'm getting help with that now with my project manager. But one of the things that I like to do is I like to make sure everything is connected, even when you're in different systems. So we use, give you a couple systems we use, like Monday.com and Trello. Okay. And then we have Confluence for our documentation. Confluence and Trello are Atlassian products. And we use those together, right? And for a while, we were actually using Zendesk Cell. Because about a year ago, we were using Zendesk Cell, and that was going to be our CRM. That's where I was going to track all our sales stuff and leads and have this whole flow in there and manage emails, do all that stuff. It it's actually really great if you need it. And so for a while, because I loved it, I geeked out on it because everything's here, everything's centralized, it's connecting out. You could connect out to other things, create your own custom links out to things and documentation or whatever, and all your emails right there, and I could track all the sales processes and closing deals and all that stuff. And then I had kind of a light bulb moment at some point this past, I don't know when it was, 6 months ago or something. And I said, I think this is overkill. I wasn't using enough. I don't have a sales team, right? I'm at a size of my business where I'm just, I'm still doing most of the managerial sales. I'm doing all of the sales and from invoicing to proposals to getting the business, doing all that. That's still me. I don't have a team doing that. So it was overkill just for this one-man show at the moment. Hopefully it won't always be a one-man show, but at the moment it is. And so I decided also it's a cost, right? So I'm always looking for cost savings as well. So you can have this cost creep where you keep adding tools and tools and tools. And but somebody actually had recommended Monday.com to me this past year. And they said it was awesome. It was doing everything for them and so on and so forth. It is pretty awesome. And honestly, if we weren't already using Trello and had other systems, maybe I would just have used that. I don't know. Because every system has its benefits and drawbacks. But Monday.com is awesome. And it actually turned out that, so I basically am using Monday.com as a rudimentary, not rudimentary. It's a pretty good little CRM, customer relations management solution. And it's actually working really well for that. And what's nice about Monday.com is you can sculpt it to do and have and whatever you want and connect things in there. So I have a company board and I have the contacts board, and those two are connected. And it's cool, actually, the way we have it now. And it works just fine for our needs right now. I also have a little leads board where I can track leads and stuff. So it's simplified things, though. So that's one example where I tried to do something robust when it really wasn't necessary. It overcomplicated things and cost some money. But what Monday.com has become this, it's kind of like a gap filler for me. So if we don't have another tool that does something, we just go to Monday.com now. We don't have to go buy another tool. We just use Monday.com because it's so versatile in what it can do. So Monday.com, check it out. This is not a paid advertisement. So we do a number of things in there, marketing related, content related, but what really sparked this conversation today with myself, with my audience, is that I brought in a project manager this past month, and one of the things in that process I did is relook, a fresh look at our processes around task flow and project flow and how things are assigned and how things are tracked. And Trello is awesome, but it has a tendency, we have multiple boards, we have multiple teams. It gets a little crazy in there. So I was trying to use Monday.com to kind of centralize all that. It was actually pretty cool, but overcomplicated things. I believe it overcomplicated things. Suddenly, not only was I going in Trello to track things, now I was having to also check Monday.com. There was automation there. It was syncing everything that we would create in Trello. And the reason I did that is because then I could add additional information, additional data, and I could connect out to other things in our documentation and stuff there, information about the company and the project and all that. But it was, not only was it really complicated, probably for my project manager who was just getting started and trying to get her head wrapped around everything we're doing. But I realized after a couple weeks trying to figure out how to, manipulating it, trying to figure out the best way to set it up, I'm like, you know what? There's only a couple things here really that we need. That we wanted to track, and can we do that just in Trello? And then what I also did, there was one particular thing, we did something else with it. We tracked it elsewhere in our systems, so an existing system, and it just tweaked it. But the point here is that Monday.com is awesome. Yes, it's great I love having everything. I still have everything connected, but sometimes you can use search too. You don't have to connect it directly to things. Confluence is an amazing search engine. You can find anything in there that you have, any documentation, whatever. You do quick search, do that all the time. All my client stuff's in there. If I need to get a login, I just, punch in the client's name and the login page comes up. So there's a lot of benefit to having things integrated together, but you can go too far. So every time, when, going back to Cristina and I, our conversation, regarding systems and processes, I don't know that we talked about that too much. We talked about the power of it and, what it really was, what's the difference between systems and processes and all that stuff. I don't know. We talked about how to structure it so it doesn't get too overwhelming. I think that would have been a good part of that conversation. Maybe I'll have that with her someday. But I think it's really important. As I've been in, my agency almost, it's almost 4 years. It's getting there. It's over 3.5, almost 4. I've gone through a lot of different tools. I've tried a lot of different things. For a while, I was in Asana before I moved over to Trello and consolidated everything with Atlassian. And that was one of those things because that actually served the same purpose, was that I was simplifying I was simplifying. Because I already use Bitbucket. Where do I want my documentation? Okay, I like Confluence. Okay, now Trello. That's all within the same umbrella, right? And Jira, if we, when we use it. So it really just made sense that would all work better together. And yeah, and the tools, I don't think there's a magical tool out there that's fit for everybody. You got to figure out what works for you. For us, for what we do as a web design development agency, we have a great setup now. And I think this whole Monday.com experience is good, because I think you have to do that too, though. You have to experiment. You have to try different things. The goal there was to have it more centralized, or have a good central point where we could track everything in Trello. But again, that experiment failed. Possibly. We could still go back to it. I don't want to tell my project manager yet that it failed. I told her this week we're going to forget about Monday.com. That was my instructions. So, but I think in my mind, I'm already like, I think this is fine. See, some of the things that we just found new ways. One of the things with Trello is it has like these power-ups and other things you can integrate with it to add fields and do other things. So I think there's some solutions there that'll work better, and hopefully life will be good going forward. So there you go. That is the lesson this week. That is the extra. Don't overcomplicate things. Try, test, try to keep things simple though, and don't go overboard with all your documentation, systems and processes and tools in your business. Have a good one.